over this past week, we've got a lot of information on Strand. I decided I'm going to do breakdowns on every ability shown and how they work and how build crafting is going to work with those abilities for each class. This video is about Warlock, my main class, and if you're just here for the Strand information, these are the Strand verbs, so if I mention anything that you don't know, this is what they do. But let's get into it. So to begin the breakdown, we've got the Warlock aspect, Mindspun Invocation. And this does a couple of different things, but what it's showcasing right here is consuming a shackle grenade, as you see. And this is what a shackle grenade does when it's thrown. But according to the aspect, when you consume your shackle grenade, you get a buff that creates a suspending detonation on every kill. You can see it right there. He gets the kill, and then everything around him starts floating. Pretty straightforward with that. The next ability we get to see is the new 3-charge melee Arcane Needle. It says it causes high damage and unravels enemies on impact. We can't really see the unravel, which is like the explosion, because they die instantly. But it sounds pretty good. So high damage and then also AoE damage. Now, what we're going to go into next is the Threadling business. And that's the main part of the Warlock kit. So we see here the Warlock cast a rift and a bunch of eggs pop off of the Warlock and spawn Threadlings. Now, I think this is actually both Warlock aspects working in tandem. So to explain why they're both working, first we've got Weaver's Call, the main one that's doing most of the work. On Rift Cast, the Warlock weaves 3 Threadling eggs, and they hatch into Threadlings when they hit the ground. So we can see that with the Threadlings coming off the Warlock, hitting the ground, and spawning. But the way it ties into Mindspun Invocation is, if we look at the beginning of this clip, you can see there are indeed 5 little orbs floating around the Warlock before they cast the Rift. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think this is when you consume a Threadling grenade, it says it generates a full complement of perched Threadlings. I would assume in this trailer, they consume a grenade and then they cast the Rift. And with Weaver's Call, it says perched Threadlings are also converted into eggs. So I think it's consuming the Threadling grenade to get a full 5 perched Threadlings. And then they cast the Rift, it spawns 3 more, and they all hit the ground and run forward. And if I'm right, then there will be 8 in the next part of the clip. And there is, if you count them. Now, of course, with the way Threadlings work on Warlocks is if they don't have an enemy, they come back to the Warlock and perch. So I would be amiss to not mention that, and that a full complement, which is what I'm really curious about, is what is the actual number for a full complement of perched Threadlings. Might not actually be 5. It might be some different number, and in this clip, the Warlock just so happened to have 5 perched Threadlings. And then we move on to the last ability shown in the trailer, and that's the Warlock Super Needle Storm. Now it says the Super summons a bunch of spikes, and they're sent into enemies in the ground, the environment, whatever, and each spike turns into a Threadling. Now, in this clip, looking at it, counting, I see 13 Threadlings. That's a really high amount, and I'm really hoping there's like no limit on that. That would be pretty sick. But it may also be the case that having such a high amount of Threadlings is only because the Super allows you to. However, I think Broodweaver Warlocks will be able to conjure waves of Threadlings. I mean, this is pretty much the Broodweaver's kit laid out right here, and it's almost all about spawning these little dudes. So I expect, with how build crafting is changing in Lightfall and how much ability spam we can do right now, that should you want to, you could probably drown a room full of enemies in these little bugs. That's all I've got for today. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see the breakdown and the theorizing whatever for Titan and Hunter, please subscribe. I'll be doing that soon. Hope to see you around.